like to start off with a little bit of an imagination exercise. So I want you to take a second and imagine yourself in my shoes. So you work for an organization called Dreamcatchers. And we run an after-school program for middle schoolers like this guy here, this girl here, and a classroom that looks kind of like that. Now these kids come in after school twice a week to work on homework, to do better in school because they're struggling. Their GPAs are low, they want to go to college, their parents want them to go to college, but they're having a hard time. We bring in Stanford student tutors, and we work with them so they can do better. So in this kind of a context, how do you create a successful learning environment? That's the question I've been asking myself throughout this project, and that was the goal of this presentation, to figure out what can I do better to help Brendan and Courtney and Ashley and Esmeralda and all the other students I have to be successful and maybe to go to college or to pursue whatever dreams that they have. So this is a pretty big topic, so I decided to narrow my focus and to talk about something called program culture, which is a must for any successful learning environment. So what is program culture? It's a set of values, expectations, traditions, beliefs, and norms that form the philosophical backbone of an organization. They're expressed explicitly in the form of things like an honor code, teacher expectations, student statements in class, and implicitly in the daily interactions between teachers and students and tutors and parents. So the goal of my project is twofold. First, it's to describe what an ideal program culture looks like, and I've done some background research on teaching theory to get a sense of what that looks like. And then it's to talk about how I can implement that type of ideal culture at Dreamcatchers, since that's my role as a classroom director. So let's start with this first one. Based on the research I've done, an ideal program culture consists of the following 6 points. There's an emphasis on hard work, there's a supportive, positive atmosphere for students, there's high expectations of them, we expect them to do a lot and believe in their ability to succeed. There's parent commitment, there's teacher commitment and enthusiasm, that means on the part of tutors and on the part of classroom directors. And finally, there's a clarity of mission. And a cool example of this last one, there's a middle school, I think it's on the East Coast, that has all of the students refer to themselves as members of the class of 2018. 2018 because that's the year they're expected to graduate from college. It's this kind of ethos and this kind of belief in a student ability to succeed that characterizes a good program culture. So let's go from here. So what can a classroom director do to implement a strong program culture? Well, they can work successfully with parents, with tutors, known as fellows, and with students. And for the sake of time, in this presentation, I'm going to focus on this third one, interaction with students. I explore the other two in my paper, but in the interest of time and to go further into depth, I'm going to talk mainly about a classroom director's interaction with students in the classroom. So before I go any further, though, I just kind of want to review where we're at right now to get a sense of everyone where we are. So a successful learning environment means a strong program culture, which looks like this. And I'm going to talk about interaction with students as a way to create that program culture. So what are some ways to support students to create that second goal of creating a supportive, positive atmosphere? The first way is to acknowledge and accept negative emotion. So if I'm in class and Eric's working on his homework and he goes, "Gosh, this is so boring. I hate this." And I say, "Stop it, Eric. Just be quiet and do your work." That sends one message. But the alternative is I could say, "Thanks for letting me know. I'll keep that in mind next time when we're doing exercises like this, but for now, this is really important and I need you to do your work." It creates a much different type of relationship with the student, and that can lead to a lot more productive outcomes in the future. Second, and related to the first, is don't do conditional approval. This has been shown by psychologists to cause really negative consequences in parent-child relationships, and it's similar with teacher-students. So if Tracy comes in and says, "I didn't do my homework today," and then I stop talking to you, I send you out for a timeout, I won't pay attention to you for the rest of the class, the message I'm sending is that I only care about you when you do the things I want you to do. Think about that for a second. What kind of message is that sending to a student? That you only care about them, that you only express love for them when they're doing exactly what the teacher expects. So the better way to handle it would be to accept it, to talk about it later, maybe talk about how important homework is without expressing this conditional approval. A third way is never to belittle students in front of their peers, and this is especially important for Dreamcatchers because this is a middle school, right? So if someone's acting out in class, let's say Cole's being really disruptive, and I say, "Cole, stop it, you're being a nuisance," right? You feel no choice but to respond you know, with some back talk, or to lash out in response, because you have to save face in front of all of your friends who are sitting there watching you getting shown up by your teacher, right? So if instead I just say stop, and I come talk to you later, maybe after class, maybe during independent work time, then you're not shattering that bond between the student and the teacher, and you're also creating less disruption in the classroom. Last way to support students is to schedule in-class bonding time. So a lot of teachers think, oh, okay, I gave out a math worksheet, I'm just going to sit back, chill, do whatever, wait till they're done, right? No. So what you should be doing, and what other classroom directors have told me they do, is walk around. Say, hey, Hector, how's it going? Work coming along okay? Do you have any questions? You know, how was your weekend? Right? This is the type of thing. One classroom director told me that she tries to have 5 one-on-one conversations with students every time she's in the classroom. And in every single one of those conversations, she tries to get a laugh out of her students. That's how she connects with them. That's how she makes them care. And when they care, and when they have a relationship with their teacher, they suddenly want to work hard because they don't want to disappoint you. They want to do well for you. Okay? So again, to summarize, these are ways to create a supportive and positive atmosphere in a classroom setting. So let's talk about ways of motivating students, because if everything's happy and fuzzy, but nobody's working hard, then you're really not getting anywhere either, right? So one way is to set tangible goals. So it's one thing to encourage students to say, I want to go to medical school, or I want to get an A in this class at the end of the year. But in their day-to-day work, that doesn't really mean anything. So what you need to do is you need to take smaller steps. You need to say, okay, you want to be a doctor? Well, to be a doctor, you need to be good at math. If you want to be good at math, okay, this week, what do you need to do? Maybe you need to organize your math binder. Maybe you're just not very organized as a student. And then next week, you'll study hard for your test. And then the week after, when the test comes up, you'll concentrate for the full 40 minutes and never give up, because you used to give up 20 minutes in when you hit the hard problems. So that's one way to keep students motivated. Another way is to provide an explanatory rationale for everything you do, right? So, Ellen, you're really interested in biology, right? So if I give you an English essay, you might be like, oh, Eric, why am I going to do this? But if I say, well, by working on this English essay, you're working on your critical thinking skills. And that's going to be necessary when you're studying the work of your peers, and you're trying to determine if their scientific research is valid or not, right? Suddenly it has a whole new importance to you. Thirdly, celebrate hard work and improvement, not intelligence. There's a growing movement called growth mindset in education psychology, which is saying that intelligence and not just knowledge is malleable, that you can get smarter by working harder and believing that you can succeed. And if you emphasize this, and you celebrate a student's preparation and hard work, and not just their intelligence, and saying, oh, you did well, you're so smart, then you can get a lot better results. So going back to our ideal program culture, those types of ways to motivate students encourage hard work, they create high expectations, and they also establish this clarity of mission, because they continually reinforce, why am I here in this classroom? Why am I doing an English essay? Why am I doing a math worksheet? Well, it's all in service of this larger goal, and if it's not, then maybe I should be reconsidering what exercise I'm giving. So in summary, supporting and motivating students is one major way, but not the only way, to create a strong program culture. And creating a strong program culture can lead to a successful and rewarding learning environment, which is successful and rewarding both for students and for the teachers. It's a lot more fun to teach when your students are motivated and excited and engaged. But so what, you might ask? So why does this all matter? I'm not involved in Dreamcatchers, except for Nikki, who is a tutor. Why should I care? Well, I mean, these kids are adorable, don't you want them to succeed? Even if you don't, though, even if you don't care about them, a successful program culture is an important part of any work environment. It doesn't matter if you're in the corporate world, public sector, or like playing on your local soccer team, right? In any setting, creating an atmosphere in which people feel supported and motivated and excited about what they're doing is going to create a more productive and more rewarding atmosphere. So in conclusion, I'd like to suggest that a focus on program culture with some of the ways to implement it, as I've discussed here, can be helpful in any work setting to create a powerful, rewarding, and productive environment. Thank you very much.
Interesting. Questions? Questions for Austin?
Thanks for your presentation. That was awesome. How do you tell tutors and teach them and sort of educate them about some of the things you're telling us? Because I know in my experience at EPAD, it takes a long while before you get that connection with the tutee and really start to understand some of the things you've been talking about.
Mm-hmm. So your question is that how do you train teachers to do that?
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of it is learning by doing. You can't sit in the classroom and become factor. I mean, that's why teacher credentialing programs have people do student teaching before they get their degree. It's the more you practice, the more you tutor, like with EPAT, the better you're going to get, and the quicker you're going to be able to connect with students. So, I mean, there's no easy answer, but I guess that's what I'd say.
So with regards to program culture, there are a lot of components you listed, but what would you say is the most difficult one to implement?
I think it depends on what the setting is. I think in the kindergarten classroom, it's a lot easier to create a supportive, positive learning environment, but it might be harder to create a culture of hard work. In a middle school environment, when kids are rebelling and testing boundaries, creating that positive environment while also like keeping things in line might be a little bit more difficult. So I think it depends on context.
Thank you, Austin.